Hey, I'm Becky Parkinson, a director with Usborne Books and More, and I am green in the color personalities. I'm really excited to talk to you about this because color personalities has really changed my life and my business. So, in true green form, I decided to ask from input from other directors and other green directors specifically, and I felt like they were just writing the exact things that I wrote. So, it was really fun to see that in common and to get their input before I started this. It was so interesting. What I found funny is that every one of them, as they were writing down, explaining their strengths, they also mentioned how each of those strengths could be a challenge on the flip side. And I think that's a great strength of greens to recognize the flip side of everything and just to be really aware and, researchy and kind of know both sides of things. What comes easier for us? So, learning and following best practices is a forte for us. We love to listen to what is new and work towards doing it. So I remember being new and people would ask how I was doing so well. And I was like, seriously, I am literally just showing up because this was 12 years ago. I am literally showing up to trainings and whatever the leaders say to do, I just go home and do it. All right. I could accept those things because I knew that they had practice and I trusted their judgment. And so I started doing it step by step. So that was a real helpful tool for me, and it will be for you as being green. Training and mental challenges. This is another thing that I love. It feels like a game. I love a challenge, and I love to do something like I know I can do, like earning a trip. I just break it down. So we take the big thing, and I like to break it down to see what all the little goals would be to do it, and then just get the job done. I really love colors as well because it's personality research, which is fascinating to me. I love using it every day, and I really do think about it often when I'm recruiting and also helping newbies or helping hostesses. I just really like to present the best options for that color personality or for what I perceive as their color personality, since I can't have everyone take the test, but it is a great way to be able to help people. So books. Okay, so books are our thing. I am a self help junkie and just a business book junkie too. I love to read them as much as any novel. They are so interesting. I just really enjoy implementing the practices right away. Audible has become my best friend. Like, it's so cool because I don't always have time to sit and read, but I do love to read and I can maximize my time, walking around the track at the gym or putting on makeup and listening to a good book. I also really like to get the Audible version and then the paper version so that I can pause it and take any notes that I want to so I have them later. If I ever stop listening to something motivational, I've found that I really do decline in my motivation. So I know it's been really valuable for me to listen to that. And not only that, but just to be learning constantly. I have to be learning and be challenged to really feel effective in my life. It will be essential to your life and business to incorporate books often if you're a green. So one of our slash challenge good things slash challenges would be emotion and logic, being able to separate those. I can shut my emotions off and get the job done. It's awesome because sometimes things will be going on in the back of my head, but I can just plug through it. I can press through hard times. And I really will tell myself, like, I can do hard things. I'm just going to do this. I'm going to do it, sometimes do it scared. But sometimes I can be blunt because of that lower emotional scale, I guess, and not realize that I've hurt people's feelings. So that's important for me to definitely identify and be aware of others' feelings. So, creativity, research, and perfection. We love to be creative. We love to research what's best and move towards perfection. I love to learn and I love to be creative, creating trainings and also researching what's best. As a green, we all know that perfection will never be attained, but we don't even care. It's just like the pursuit of it and then also the changing of it that we're cool with. I just love to go after whatever's best in the best way that I can. And it is fun to improve in various ways and get closer to what I see as the mark. Then it moves and it's a new game to go after. I am a little bit gold, so sometimes when something else is put out that's a change, sometimes I have a hard time to accept that, and I have to just remind myself this is change. If if it's changed, you have to accept that it's changed and just move forward and embrace it. So I have to remember to just do that, and then also remember to not go after perfection in too many things. So I'm constantly improving, but sometimes I can do it in so many ways that I get total overwhelm. So as a leader, it's really important to realize what's most important in that time and go after that. Also, it's important to make some fast decisions and be okay with the fact that like if I message someone back, it's not always going to be a perfectly crafted email or message, because I could go over it multiple times for sure and make it perfect, but sometimes speed is way more important than perfection. Also, as a consultant, I think it's important to know that you can get even more creative as a leader, because you get to start to provide trainings, and also it's just another reason to promote, because you will be a strong leader. It's definitely a forte of Greens to be in leadership positions. All right, big picture. So it's really fun as a Green to have a big picture vision of what you want to accomplish, but sometimes I can struggle with carrying out all the steps because I get bored after a while. So it's really important to incorporate team members to help you with all the steps, unless maybe gold is really high for you. Okay, thinking through different challenges. When you are Green, oftentimes you'll look at subpar procedures or operating methods and recognize those and speak up about those. So if, for a person coming into UBAM, it's really easy to start to evaluate everything that's wrong with our systems or back office or this or that. And I have a lot of people, Green people, that come in and get really stuck on those things and not go towards action. So it's important to recognize that you can give feedback, but you're most likely, give feedback. However, you're most likely wasting your time versus just getting going with your business. So embrace what it is for a time, and then make the business everything that you can. The beauty is that so many people have been successful at this business, so it's there waiting for you, and it's just you that holds the key. So you go after it and have your own success, and then you can tweak whatever is in your control and make it better and better. Perfectionism can be a time management issue. So when you spend too much time on a project getting it just right when it should be spent on something like income producing activities. So I forced myself to do income producing activities so much. And if you're not familiar with they're things that would produce income later. So for example, customer care, bookings, recruiting, and I'm probably forgetting something. Anyhow, in my hostess coaching. So in my schedule, I am really careful to put those things in first. So much so that sometimes I get behind on other things because I force myself to really do those in my schedule. And I have to also be aware of what else needs my attention. So routines, and this is probably why I lose track of what I need to have on my radar, is that routines can be boring. Seriously, I hate to follow a schedule. It zaps my freedom. I've had to force myself to borrow some gold in this way. I've listened to people when they've said how to build a schedule. And while I haven't been able to embrace time blocking completely, I want to, but I have created a few things that sort of lean towards that. So first of all, I have created business hours. I think this is really necessary for a Green, because it can completely take over your life as you're going towards a big goal, because it's so fun to have this challenge and to see success, that you need the business hours to control that. So put the business hours in, and then I break my business down into 15-minute segments and have it there. So this way I can fill it with whatever is needed. So each day feels a little bit different, and enough of, that's enough of a schedule that things happen, but also there's variety. So I feel comfortable with it. I do write down my income producing activities in it, like hostess coaching, bookings and recruitings, although I hate to have to go after more bookings and recruiting outside of parties. So I really do work my parties to get everyone there. It just feels like extra work to have to do it later. I hate finishing up with parties, bookkeeping and budgeting. So I've definitely enlisted helpers in this, mostly my husband, to do like the budgeting and bookkeeping. I have yet to teach him how to finish up a party for me, but I really want to do that, because that seems like something that I would love to not have to do. Want to definitely make that happen in my life. All right, so coaching. Coaching can be a challenge, but it's also a really fun thing for me. So coaching in person is difficult for two reasons. One is it's taxing to talk to a lot of people for Greens. As a Green, you just want to say what works also, and you want them to just do it. But people rarely work that way, especially women. They need more buy-in, and there's also less Green women than all the other colors. So I have learned to just love coaching, and I've made it a mental game for me, the problem-solving part. So I like to think of what the end result is of what someone truly wants, make sure I'm identifying that by asking questions, and then just think of the questions that I need to ask them to make them reveal the steps and the action steps that they need to take to get them there. I also have to be careful of having too much coaching in a row, or I can end up really low on my willpower. If you haven't promoted yet, then you may find this with your hostesses, but definitely you'll need to coach them. It also might be harder for you to get on the phone with them versus emailing and messaging them to help motivate them. But I found it's so worth it. For example, the day of the party, I really do like to make that connection with my hostess and get her on board to do some of the things that she needs to do to have a successful party. Some people do that earlier on or more often or use voice messages, and that can really help them to do their best. Also, giving fast answers and small talk can be a challenge. I've learned to tell people that I really need to think on that. And whenever I give them a fast answer, it's almost never my best unless I've really run it through my head a lot before we're speaking. So as a leader, it's been hard for my leaders sometimes to feel like their opinions are valued when really I do value them. I just have to communicate it to them. I really like to think over their opinions, for everyone and make the best decisions. Sometimes they were feeling unheard, for example, even though I would spend the next day or even week rolling around their ideas in my head and think of how great they were or how they could work for us, and then also weighing it out with what other directors are doing and what I've heard from other teams. But again, I have to communicate that with them. It's still a work in progress for me. And I don't have very many hard and fast rules I've found unless I've really tried them out over and over again. And then I'll put my whole self behind those ideas. But I know that variables can constantly change. So whatever I do could really change later because something new works, especially when we work with something like Facebook that's constantly changing rules and things, and we have to come up to that and then come up to speed with it. Mess. Okay, my office can get really crazy busy because organization is not what's most important. It's getting stuff done. So it can be crazy. I found that I needed to hire cleaners as soon as I promoted out and could afford them. The reason why is it helped me to have that forced refresh of my house and my workspace whenever they come. It's great because I love to have a clean space to work in, but it's just not my first priority. So that just forces me to do it. Also, putting out ideas. I really want to put out quality training and information, but that takes a lot of time. And as a leader, that means it's away from other things like working with my team. So it can sometimes get put on the back burner and I'll be working on it, but then finally make the time for it and throw it out to my team. And they would like to have a little bit more warning about that. I'm still working on that. Systems. I was so relieved to find that the other greens were the same way in that they were saying that they have a hard time with systems. And the reason why is we want to have a system for everything. We do, but we're constantly refining what we do. And so a lot of it is in our head. And so we struggle to put it down on paper because then it's almost like we're married to it. And then when we put it on paper, we change it so often that because we're willing to make changes and make it better, that we sometimes lag in updating it for everyone else. This proves hard for my team to follow, and so I'm definitely finding myself having to improve my systems and being okay with it not being perfect, and also updating it and vocalizing that with my team. I have found that this is so helpful in understanding greens is that I need alone time to recharge because I used to force myself into social things before finding out about being green, and just it's okay. Embrace that you need time to be alone. It's an okay thing. It recharges you and means that you're going to be better the next time. So it's okay to say goodbye to the social scene and back up and recharge. Okay, also a few things for you. You, by the way, as a green person, have everything you need to be a great leader. You can take on UBAM land in your own way, in your own unique way. And you can also love being your own boss because you get to decide what best practices are. You get to refine and improve and love leading a team. You get to earn the trips because you know how to see the big goal and break it down and get there. You are also well equipped to spread literacy because you will research and read what is best and share it with everyone. UBAM needs you as a leader and as a director. So we're so excited to have you and to see you improve in this way. Thanks for joining me, and I'm sorry I went way over on my time. It's a very long video, but if you're a true green, you are probably watching through to the very end. Thanks for joining me.